Welcome back and thanks for tuning in. I really appreciate it. I told you on the last episode when we discussed motivation regarding fitness and your why that I was going to get inside your head. And here's how I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it by explaining to you my pillars. Pillars is another word or a word for your why, but oftentimes when people are asked, why do you do something? You have to come up with this short, concise answer that sometimes doesn't cover and is almost impossible to cover all the reasons that you do something. So I'm going to tell you why I go to the gym and why I choose to stay fit and how that contributes to my mindset and my motivation, which, as I mentioned in the last video, I believe this is the elephant in the room. There's a lot of fitness resources out there. And if everyone that wanted to get in shape used those resources, you'd no doubt be in shape. So that's why mindset and motivation is the elephant in the room, because people, individuals, still can't find their why. So without further ado, these are my whys, or like I like to call them, my pillars. I call it the 4 F's: faith, family, fitness, and finance. Now, I know when I say faith, the first thing that comes to your head is religion or God. I am not about to talk to you about religion or God, so please don't turn this off or um, think that I'm going to beat you over the head with the Bible, because I'm not. Faith, and I have the definition up right here on my phone so I can read it off. Faith is complete trust or confidence in someone or something. How does this relate to my daily process, my motivation, and my mindset? Working out and fitness is a lifestyle, and it's a journey that lasts your entire life. You have to ask yourself the question, how do I want to live my life day to day, and what is my life going to look like 5 or 10 years from now? And will I be the person that I want to be physically and mentally when I get to that place? So, like the saying goes, I can live my best life. So, when I think of faith in the fitness realm, we all have bad days. We all have days that we might work out really hard. Our diet might be on point. We got good sleep. We're drinking water, following our diet plan, hitting our macros. We're doing everything right. But we step in front of the mirror and we're just not seeing the results. And we're constantly inundated by other people's accounts on social media like Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, you name it. And we see people that are just out of this world in shape. And as I covered in the first video, we don't know what these people are doing. We don't know if they're using steroids, performance enhancing drugs. And most of them are not going to admit to it because they're selling you a program with the intention of, hey, if you buy from me, you're going to look like me. Well, first off, not everybody is built the same. And second off, if you're comparing your body, if you're 30 or 40 years old and you're scrolling through videos of people that are half your age, their body chemistry is different, their metabolism is different, and really they're just youthful and they're probably doing more daily activities, burning more calories, which we can get into technically later, which is TDEE, total energy expenditure, total daily energy expenditure. And they're just doing more. They're running, they're climbing trees, they're playing sports with their friends. They might not have a car, so they're riding a bike and they're just burning a lot more calories. And like an adult, they're not sitting all day, 8 hours in front of a computer or at a desk. So it's unfair to you to compare yourself to these individuals. So getting back to faith, as I get older and realize that my fitness journey is a lifestyle that's going to last a lifetime, I have to have faith in the fact that as long as I'm following my daily process of good nutrition, a good workout plan, I don't want to use the word diet because diet infers that I'm following some type of plan that is short lived, which is a whole nother video in itself about short term goals and short term gratification. So by diet, I mean that just every day I know that I'm eating healthy, and then I'm getting the proper amount of sleep and drinking the proper amount of water. Now, let me say this. If you think that I'm going to sit here and tell you that I don't have pizza night with my kids, or I don't enjoy a beer after mowing the lawn, or a long week with after work and hanging out with friends and having a beer, a cocktail, whatever it is you want to have. No, absolutely not. Like, I am a realist, and I got to tell you guys, that's the main point that I'm making these videos, is because there's this mentality out there now with people that have a lot of follows that have this all or nothing attitude. Like, if you're not waking up at 4 in the morning every morning and running 5 miles and then just eating brown rice and chicken, then you're weak and you're never going to make it. And I don't believe that. I believe for those individuals who are very rare, probably less than 1% of the population, they can keep that up. And I applaud them. I think that's great. But for the average person, we have a life to live. We have bills, we have jobs, we have kids, we have relationships, stress, anxiety, worry about the future. I have all those. I share that in common with you. But once again, this is where the pillars come in, starting with faith. I have to have faith that if I'm doing everything within my power, the things that I just mentioned, the things that I have control over, that everything is going to work out for the better. So that's what I mean when I say faith, because short-term gains, short-term goals, they're going to be there, but exactly for that long, short term. So you have to have faith in the long run. So let's get to my second pillar. And these are in no order, by the way. I have to say that these 4 pillars that I have, faith, family, fitness, finance, they are in the order as needed for that day. Some days my faith is strong. Sometimes I rely on my family. And sometimes it's just really grinding out fitness and saying, hey, I had a terrible day, but at least I hit the gym. So I did something with myself did something with my life that was healthy and positive. So family, this could be, so me personally, I am happily married. I have 2 wonderful daughters, and I have a great family, my blood family. Well, I don't want to say blood family because that is my blood family, but I mean my mom and my dad and my brother. I have a strong family through my wife's family as well. They're very supportive of everything that I do, that we do together as a couple. And it's always awesome to know that you have people in your life backing you through good times and bad times. And you can pick up the phone and those people are going to answer. And so that's why I rely on family, because sometimes when I'm not at my strongest point and I'm feeling weak or down or confused about a certain big decision, I rely on my family network, who I know are going to not sugarcoat it. They're going to tell me the truth. They're going to, of course, be respectful, but they're going to tell me if I'm thinking along the lines of maybe only thinking with my ego or my pride, or I'm only thinking in terms of me and not everybody else around me. So when you combine the faith that everything is, not everything's going to work out, because I hate, or I dislike when people say everything happens for a reason. I think things happen for a reason if you put steps in place for those things to happen. Um, better lucky than good. But if you want to set yourself up ultimately for success, you have to put in the work of putting those small daily habits in place that is going to result in those things happening, that when you look back, you're going to say, man, everything just seemed to work out at that time. And I can guarantee if you dissect those wins, you'll realize that those wins occurred because of the small steps you put in place. So, getting back to faith, putting in those small steps will ultimately lead to your positive goal at the end. And when faith is not there for you because you are mentally weak or vulnerable, you can rely on your family, like I can rely on my wife, to be strong for me. Some of the best advice I got from my parents, who've been married for 40 plus years, is my mom told me, The secret to marriage is when one person is not feeling it, the other person is. And you're in real trouble when both people aren't, because you're going to go through hard times. And in those hard times, if you're both being negative and both being pessimistic, there's nobody there to lift you up, lift you or you as a married unit or a couple up. And even that goes for extended family. You know, families have turmoil inside of them. Everybody has that weird Uncle Ron, you know, who's like at Christmas talking about politics while drinking too much. And that can stir the pot a little. So you have to rely on other people in your family to say, yeah, that's just Uncle Ron. You know what you're going to get. And you have to be strong inside and make sure that that doesn't affect you or the people close to you, and that you don't dwell and waste a lot of mental effort on it, because your mental health is important. My mental health is important. Everybody's is. And with mental health on the radar right now, I think it's best that you pick and choose your battles and just get rid of things that aren't positive in your life. So faith, family, fitness, obviously, because that's what this channel is about. But let me try and explain for me what fitness means to me. Two things. One, fitness is I work out because I'm an introvert. And I run into this all the time where I tell people that I'm close to that I'm an introvert, and they're shocked because they say, "Oh man, you're so social with other people, and you're easy to get along with," or "I haven't met anybody that, dislikes you." I hope that's what people are saying. But when you look at it from a psychology point of view, introvert and extrovert has nothing to do with how you act in public situations. Introvert and extrovert is how you recharge. And I recharge by myself. So fitness for me, when I go in the gym and I put my headphones on, that's my time. I don't meditate or do yoga. I should, because I hear great things about it. But if I could speak on something that I'm not very educated on, I would surmise that meditation and yoga is that time for people to clear their headspace, because we're always thinking about stuff back and forth. Your internal mind is always talking to you. And if you can quiet that internal mind that's talking to you all the time, except when you're sleeping, and maybe it's even talking to you when you're sleeping through dreams, if you can clear that internal mind for 30 minutes, maybe even 10 minutes, most people say that they feel a great relief throughout the day, and they can tackle other tasks better with a more clear mind. They can be more efficient and more effective. So for me, when I go to the gym, and let me give you an example, every command. So if you didn't watch the first video, I'm military. I've been in the military for 22 years, and every 3 years we have to move, give or take 10 months, 12 months. I always tell my boss when I check in and they say, "Hey, nice to meet you. Tell us about yourself." Somewhere in that conversation, I tell them, my gym time is very important to me. And it is not screw off time or get away from work or try and not be productive at work. I need it for the opposite reasons. If I don't go to work, if I don't go to the gym and work out, I cannot be the best leader, the best boss, the best tactician, the best employee, the best follower, because everybody has a boss. I can't be the best version of myself. And so I make it very clear to them, I am not going to waste work time, but I will be at work. I will be at the gym working out while people are going out to lunch, and I will eat at my desk. And none of them have a problem with that. And they see firsthand when we have like a really busy week and I just can't get away from my desk or can't get away from operations and I don't work out. It's like being hangry. I get very upset quickly. I have a short fuse. I'm not energetic about my work anymore. Just something is off. And going back to aesthetics not being the main reason you should pursue your fitness endeavor, mental health. Man, there's so many studies out there that say that working out decreases suicide rates, it decreases PTSD, it decreases stress and anxiety. Yet somehow we still don't give credence or precedence to people's fitness. But I think that the tables are starting to turn where companies, innovative companies like Google and Apple, are giving their employees time off to work out, and they have gyms like on their campus, their work campus. They have people that come in that give personal training classes or group classes, and they're realizing that people that have a strong body have a strong mind, and they become more effective workers. So I could go on and on about fitness. That was the first reason. The second reason, fitness is the great equalizer. We live in a world now where people can be anybody that they want to be on the internet, and they can, oh, look at my cars, look at my house, look at this vacation, look at these pictures, look at how happy I am. And maybe they are happy, and I hope they are. I hope the best for everybody. I really do. I'm not getting on YouTube or doing podcast or putting out information that's hating on people. There's too much of that going around, and I just don't have the mental bandwidth to put that negative energy out. Or if I dislike something somebody's doing, why would I waste time following them, watching them, commenting about them, caring about them? Once again, it's just mental bandwidth that I don't need that to take up space in my brain. So we're obviously going to talk a lot more about fitness. So let's just move on to the last one, which is finance, money. Okay, let's talk from both ends of the spectrum. On one end of the spectrum, everybody wants to be rich. I want to be rich. I told you I'm a realist. I'm not going to BS you. Look, money doesn't solve all your problems, but it dang sure helps if you know how to manage it well. But we also know that money isn't everything, because there's tons of stories historically of people that were loaded and killed themselves, or got some kind of mental illness where they completely fell off the map, and they had to be hospitalized or medicated or whatever the case may be. So finance to me means that I am not in jeopardy. If I have money in my bank account, I am not in jeopardy of myself and my spouse getting in constant arguments over money, which is one of the number one leading causes of couples separating, i.e. divorce, is financial problems, because they can't balance their budget, or they can't agree on what they're going to spend their money on, or one is spending money and hiding it from the other, or there's just point blank, there's no money coming in, and it makes it really hard. So I'm not here to give you, I'm not a financial advisor. I'm not here to give you financial advice, but the easiest thing that I can tell you to do is save more than you spend, and make sure that what you're spending money on is stuff that is for you, that actually benefits your life. And it's not just keeping up with the Joneses. Like, the number one thing that comes to my mind is vehicles. There's a lot of nice cars out there. We're inundated constantly with social media, people driving awesome cars, and look how fancy my life is, and it's so great. And people go get a car, and they have like a $700 or $800 car note, and they're only bringing in like 1,500 or $2,000 a month. That's not sustainable. It's not. And I'm fortunate that I was single for a long time, and I made really, really good money. And I kind of bought myself out of that lifestyle, because at one point I had everything, and I needed it more. I kid you not, when I met my wife, I had like 5 or 6 motorcycles in my garage and 2 cars. I'm a vehicle guy. I love buying and selling cars. I just like cars. And I had all this stuff, and I'd already been a homeowner like 2 times over, and I had money, and it was nice. But what I realized, with that money came, not with money comes great responsibility or great power or any stuff like that, but it's like all those things cost on top of their original cost. Like, you buy it, and then you have to insure it, and then you have to register it, and then you have to maintain it, meaning you're paying for the maintenance, and God forbid you have like a collision. Now you have insurance claims, and something's always going wrong with these new fancy electronic cars, and with dealerships charging $200 an hour to work on a non-exotic car. Like, it happens really fast, where you like look around, you're like, man, I was on a shoestring budget already, and now I have this $1,500 bill for this vehicle. So I started downsizing a lot. Now, I didn't get rid of a lot of my toys. Like, I got a lot of toys around here, but they're all valuable to me. All my musical instruments I play, the two motorcycles I have, I always ride. I got my off-road vehicle. I got my go back and forth to work vehicle. My wife's got a car, and it's like we use all the stuff. And look, we don't have a Ferrari or a Lambo. We have normal cars, and like that's the thing. You got to ask yourself, like, what's the utilitarian value of this? Utilitarian meaning like, what does this thing do? A car takes you to point A to point B. So it doesn't matter if it's a 1995 Prius or a Lamborghini Gallardo. Like, it's doing the same thing. It's going to take a long time to realize that if you haven't had money yet. But I went from being dirt poor broke living in a trailer park to having money like 10 years later, being in the military and saving really well. So those are my pillars. And that's me getting in your head, because after this video, I don't want you to just go right to the next video. At least take 2 minutes. That's all I'm asking for. 120 seconds. Where's your faith at? What do you believe in? And it doesn't have to be religious. If it is, great. Pursue that. But if you're not religious, like, hey, where does my faith lie in? Where do I see my optimum life in 3, 5, and 10 years? And what is my faith built on? And the things that I'm doing that are leading me down that path to getting there. Because if you're not doing anything to get there, then it's just hopes and dreams. You're never going to get there. But if you're working really hard and all the steps are in place and you have a roadmap drawn out, you can have faith in the fact, and billionaires will tell you this, if you follow the process and follow the plan and you have a roadmap and you have a goal and you are unwaverable and undeniable, you will get there. So that's where your faith should lie. Your family, look, if you have kids, if you have a spouse, you need to show up for them. Make sure that the version of you that your spouse married, that you're still the same version or better in some way. Make sure to your kids that if you had a great childhood and your parents were amazing and still are, emulate them. If you had parents that weren't, or you were in a single parent household, or you were in foster care or bouncing around in the system or whatever, then you have the playbook of what not to do, and turn your life around and stop that chain of events from happening to your children. And if you have extended family that you're going through a rough time with, be a man, be a woman, pick up the phone if you think you can make amends and call and just say, hey, like, life's short, let's bury the hatchet and let's move on and see if you can rebuild some of those relationships. And finance, I mean, I don't know how much you bring in, and it really doesn't matter because it's a mathematical problem, not a do you make 6 figures or not. Make sure you're saving, because the saying of save now so you can live like no one else lives in the future, or something like that. I think something like 80 or 90% of people don't have more than, 10K to rub together when they're 60, and that's not sustainable. So those are my pillars. I hope you enjoyed. Stay tuned for the next video. I went way over my 10 minutes, but I thought those were really important things to share, and I want to go into each one of those in depth more in future videos. But please do me a favor, think of your pillars, think of your why, and then next time you go in the gym, reinforce your workouts with the whys that you came up with. Thanks for listening.